Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 25th of August and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu as well as the articles along with the background and the way forward in all the articles we are going to see. Now before starting, I would like to tell you that you can download this explainer PDF from the Telegram channel, and the link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box. You can follow this explainer PDF along with the video in order to get even a better understanding. Now guys, first of all, let's take the overview of the newspaper so that we can identify that which articles are important and which articles only the headings are to be seen and which articles are not important. Now here I have the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper. So Nitish government wins floor test in Bihar. Now not important article for you the UPSC examination. Fine, I do whatever party high command tells. Again the political articles not important. CBI searches residence of the RGD leaders. Okay, so guys again not important article with respect to the UPSC examination. Then guys moving on. Supreme Court bench to revisit 2013 verdict onto the Paul promises. So basically guys, what has happened, this issue is going on that many times the governments are making such kind of a promises. Sometimes these promises are even being made, irrational kind of a promises are being made. Now a question comes that if a party has made a promise, they have to fulfill it. They cannot simply escape that particular liability. So in this particular capacity, government is going to see basically going to pass a decision in this direction. Moving on, then offer 24 crores AAP MLAs. Now these are guys all the political articles, not at all important for your examination. Then in the city section, the regional issues, fine, these tenders etc. has been given, so not important for the UPSC examination. Fine. So guys, then advertisements etc. and all those things have been given. So directly you will be reaching to the editorial section. Now in the editorial, the first article talks about heading the G20 and the New Delhi's choices. Now we'll see the prospects of the G20 as India is going to hold the presidency for the G20. We'll see this article, good article. Then guys, the below article, it is making out the case for the other UBI in India. So the universal basic insurance, we'll discuss that particular issue also in this particular article. Then guys, family matters. The Congress is looking at a new leadership, but the Gandhis cannot be aloof. Now this is a political article, how the working of the Congress is going on. Fine, the Congress needs certain reforms. All these particular things are being discussed, so not important for the examination. Then guys, moving on, keep it simple. Now this particular article is talking about the mandatory linking of the Aadhaar and the voter ID. So we'll see that what are the challenges coming in this particular direction with respect to the GS paper number 2. We'll see these all articles. Then moving on. Fine, strangling the Tunisia as a democracy. Okay, Kais Saeed is a populist zealot who promises El Dorado. Now guys, this particular article is talking about the Tunisian president Kais Saeed, that how he has not been able to deliver on his promises, okay, and all those particular thing is being provided. Now guys, in this particular capacity, the internal dynamics, internal politics of the Tunisia has been discussed largely. Now the internal political matters of Tunisia will not have very much direct implication on the India, fine, and therefore guys, such kind of things, fine, are actually not very much relevant for the UPSC examination. So I'll not suggest going too much into this article, okay, because guys, at the end of the day, there are so many of the countries, every country is having some of a political crisis here or there, so not important. Then the death of the Inder Meghwal. So basically guys, recently one of an individual, one of a person belonging to a lower caste, he died, and in that capacity there were a lot of controversies, lot of even issues happened. So about that particular, the death of that particular person, boy, is being discussed here. No need to go too much into this particular article. Then guys, after that, moving on, the text and the context, the Competition Amendment Bill 2022 is being discussed. We'll see what is this Competition Amendment Bill 2022. All these particular things will be taken up. Then the tomato flu outbreak and the center's advisory. Fine, we'll see what is important in that. Living in Chennai, celebrating Madras. So this is a bibliography article. So basically these books which talks about the history, the culture of the Chennai, they are being discussed. Not important for the UPSC examination. Fine, moving on. Why can't the government call all party meet on the freebies? So guys, this freebie issue is going on, and every day there is one article that's coming on the freebie. We'll see briefly what have been the takeaway from this particular thing. After that, Modi may attend the state funeral of the Abbey. Okay, so fine, no need to go too much into the detail. Okay, so the prime minister might attend the funeral. Okay, then guys, the center voices support for Russia Ukraine talks. So as this Russia Ukraine crisis is going on, the West has putting a pressure on India that India should condemn the Russia, but up till now India has not condemned the Russia, and now India is proposing that the Russia Ukraine should come to the talks and should try to find a middle ground. Then guys, moving on, treatment is a service, wellness is a charity. So basically prime minister has recently the prime minister has inaugurated the Amrita hospital at Faridabad, and all those things are being discussed here. Then guys, moving on, court reserves order in the Gyanvapi. Now guys, this Gyanvapi case and all these things are necessarily not important for the UPSC examination. Okay, then moving on, Supreme Court asked Center to expand the food security coverage. So with respect to the National Food Security Act, what are the challenges in National Food Security Act, how the food coverage is to be increased, we'll see this particular thing. Then guys, regional language important in early learning, UGC chairman. So when we talk about guys the early education, find the foundational education, in that the regional languages, the mother tongues plays an important role, because the upbringing of a child in its home has happened in that mother tongue or the regional languages. And even the new education policy NEP 2020 has recognized the role of giving the education into the regional and the native languages. So that particular thing has been talked about the UGC chairman. Then guys, moving on, after that, wind project addition to peak by 2024. We'll see this particular article what's being provided here. Then guys, then after that, central team in Chhattisgarh to probe MG Narega works, whether they are going correct or not. Then moving on, in the world page, Thai court suspends PM Prayut pending decision on term limit. Not important exam. For exam, Rishi Sunak says he won't change UK's Taiwan policy. So guys, this Taiwan policy, every country has their own Taiwan policy, whether they recognize Taiwan or not. So recently, after the US visit, now the UK is clarifying that they are not going to change their Taiwan policy, because the USA seems to that they have changed. Why? Because guys, when the Taiwan's status is concerned, the USA had not specifically said that the Taiwan is a sovereign country, but now as the US speaker last week has visited Taiwan, they seem to changing their policy. Fine. Although this particular issue, the Taiwan issue, we have discussed already too much into the detail in last week. Then guys, moving on, Ukraine will fight until the end. Now nothing important, everyday development in this Russia-Ukraine war is not to be seen. GST kitty for top states could rise 20% in financial year 23, says Chrysler. So now as the economy is rebounding back, okay, so it is expected that the GST collections will increase, because they got decreased into the last 2 years because of the pandemic and the lockdown. And the top states, fine, the states which have been the manufacturing states, fine, or the ones who have collected the good GSTs, fine, their share will increase. However, you need to go that, okay, each state what will be the expected increase, because that is all about just ask speculation right now. Fine. Then India set to plan swaps for the rupee use in the Russia trade. Okay, so basically guys, when we talk about the Russia, fine, and when we talk about the Russia India, with respect to the India and Russia, we have come out with an arrangement where the Russia ruble arrangement has been there. Okay, so basically when the rupee will be used into the Russia trade, much of preferences will be given. Then guys, moving on, no proof for Indian firms dodging sanctions, traders, banks set to cut ties with the Rosneft affiliate Nayara. All the corporate trends, etc., news, etc., that has been there, not important for your UPSC examination, no need to go there. Corporate bond market grew fourfold in a decade. Okay, so basically guys, when we talk about the corporate bond, fine, basically the corporate bond, it is an instrument by which the corporates can raise the money. So into the last decade, last 10 years, their popularity of the corporate bond has increased. Okay, then we have the sports page. Okay, so guys, now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that see, there is a sports page and then there is economy page, there is business page. Okay, business page and sports page. See, you understand this particular thing, that on business page, only the articles which have an impact on Indian economy, that are to be seen. In that capacity, corporate news, okay, which country company's share is rising, these things are not important. Moreover, these data that okay, 20% GST collection will rise, fine, it is being said by the Chrysler, these kind of things are just speculations. So you just need to read the headlines, okay. Every article is not important in the business page, so you need to understand this thing. And when we talk about the sports page, fine, so the development, okay, which match is being won by which team in that thing, badminton, chess, all these developments are coming. UPSC has not traditionally asked the question on this particular line. Last to last year there were 1 or 2 questions that were asked on the sports, okay, but that was very generic kind of questions, fine. So therefore guys, on the sports up till now the UPSC has not focused if we see the history, so therefore no need to go too much in detail in these kind of things because cost to benefit ratio is not there, fine. Okay, now let's discuss the articles. In every class guys, we start with the GS quotation where we take a quote which can be used in one of your papers. So today we'll be taking the quote from the architect of the Indian Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar says that indifferentism is the worst kind of disease that can affect people. Indifferentism, it is called as apathy. Indifferentism, it is also called as apathy. Apathy or indifferentism simply means that you don't care about the other people's well-being, about the other people's regard, about the other people's miseries. If there is injustice that is happening with another people, the people, we are not concerned. That is the indifferentism. So this indifferentism or this kind of an apathy, it is the worst kind of a disease that can affect the people. Nothing is more heinous, nothing is more dangerous than this indifferentism. So guys, as basically as a part of citizens, fine, our duty entails that we need to have not apathy, rather empathy. Not apathy, rather empathy. Then apart from the empathy, there needs to be the compassion, which is a qualities of a good citizen as well as a good public servant as well. Now this particular thing we can use in GS paper number 4, GS paper number 4, human values, GS paper number 4, human values. Now let's take the first article. Supreme Court asks center to expand the food security coverage. Now this is a very important article and could be important for GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, issues related to hunger. GS paper number 2, issues related to hunger. Now guys, within social justice, the hunger will come. Now let's discuss this particular article, but before that I would like to tell you some of a background. Now guys, background goes like this, that India happens to be a welfareist state. India happens to be a welfareist state. Welfareist state is one which will be taking care of the well-being of all the people, the deprived section of the society. They will be provided the basic safeties, basic securities. Okay. Now guys, why India is a welfareist state? Because number one, in the preamble, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, it has specifically been mentioned, which is nothing but the goals of a welfareist state. So the preamble has specifically designed that the government needs to take concern about all these particular kind of well-beings. Second, we have the directive principles of state policy. We have the chapter of DPSP, that is the directive principle of state policy. Now in the directive principle of state policy is article number 38, article number 39, article number 41, 43. All these particular articles provides that there is a special responsibility of a state, that state needs to provide the assistance to the people. Particularly article number 41 specifically talks about providing the assistance. Now guys, when we talk about the providing assistance, providing the support to the needy people, what is the basic type of assistance? Basic type of assistance is the food security. Food security. Now guys, even there is article number 21 of the Indian Constitution. Now the article number 21 talks about a right to life. Now the right to life cannot be ensured if a person is not being provided minimum food security. Now guys, in order to provide the food security, government has run the public distribution system, and later words it became the TPDS, that is the targeted public distribution system. Under the targeted public distribution system, government has provided the subsidized food grains to the people from the fair price shops. So this particular intervention government is taking for so many of the decades. Now guys, in order to further provide the food security to the people, government has taken one very important step in 2013. What happened? We came with the National Food Security Act 2013. National Food Security Act 2013. Under the National Food Security Act, the goal of a government is very much simple. According to this particular act, 50% people in the urban areas, 75% people in the rural areas, and total at the country level, in total 66% people for the entire country. Okay, again I'll explain. 50% people, just a minute, 50% people into the urban areas, 75% people into the rural areas, and 66% of the total population, they will be provided the subsidized food grains at the price of rupees 3 rupees kg rice, 2 rupees kg wheat, and 1 rupees kg coarse grains. So under the National Food Security Act, these food entitlements are being given to the every household. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that this particular entitlement is going on. Okay, it is a very good scheme, and this particular scheme has been appreciated around the world countries. But there is one particular concern that has come in this particular scheme. Actually, number one concern that is there now, this concern was an old concern and it is not here right now in this particular article, but you should know that particular thing. Guys, the concern is that, see, whenever you need to avail the subsidized food under the National Food Security Act, there needs to be a ration card that is to be furnished. Now, the problem is that actually large number of people who need the food, who need this subsidized food, these are the migrant people. It means the people, for example, from Bihar, they have come to Delhi. People from Uttar Pradesh, they have went to Maharashtra, they have went to Rajasthan. Now, when they go in Maharashtra or Rajasthan, let's say from the Bihar or Uttar Pradesh, there the ration card is needed. Now, guys, when the ration card is to be shown, in many of the states, the outside ration cards are not entertained. Okay. Now for this particular thing, there was one particular scheme that was promised, that is the One Nation One Ration Card. One Nation One Ration Card. What is this One Nation One Ration Card? It simply means, the idea is very simple. Suppose I am from Bihar, I come to Delhi. In the Delhi, I am a migrant worker, I am a rickshaw puller, let's say in the Delhi. So in the Delhi, I can use my ration card of Bihar and can get the food. So this possibility will come under the One Nation One Ration Card. But even up till now in the Delhi, One Nation One Ration Card is not implemented. In many of the states, One Nation One Ration Card is not implemented. So people are not able to get the food under the National Food Security Act. This was a very big challenge that became the reason that why the reverse migration happened in 2020. Why people went back to their villages, because they could not get the food here under even the National Food Security Act. Earlier, they were purchasing the food from the open market. Now, the second challenge in the National Food Security Act that comes, which is now being discussed in this particular article. Listen. So basically, guys, now what happens? The Food Corporation of India, FCI, Food Corporation of India will provide the grain to the different state governments, to different state government, and these state government will actually provide the food to the people. Now, guys, basically, now obviously if you have to provide the food grain, you need to have a beneficiary list. You need to have a beneficiary list. Now guys, the list of the beneficiaries, the people who will be getting the food, fine, the 66% of the people who will be getting the food, this beneficiary list is prepared on the basis of the 2011 census. This particular list is prepared onto the basis of 2011 census, and now guys, we are in 2022. So almost 11 years have been there when this particular list was prepared. 11-year-old data. Now guys, within these 11 years, many more people have come in the bracket of poor and they need the subsidized food, but they are not being provided the food. Why? Because the list has not been updated into the last 11 years. So in this particular capacity, the petition has been filed in the Supreme Court. Now from this point, this article will start. So guys, before reading this particular article, now we need to have this particular background first in our mind. Only if we have this background, we'll be able to make sense of this particular article that is now coming. Is it clear? Just a minute. Fine. So this is something that has been there, and now let's discuss this particular article. Okay. Now let's discuss this particular article. So basically, guys, what has happened? Supreme Court has provided this particular thing, that the right to food is a fundamental right available under Article number 21. Now the Supreme Court has directed the central government that the central government should increase the coverage, the food that is being provided under the National Food Security Act. Now it has been provided that the data right now, the data or the beneficiary list that is there, it is onto the basis of the 2011 census. But in that capacity, many people in the last 11 years who became poor, they are not being covered, they are not getting the advantage. Now guys, the government has provided one thing, that we will be able to update this once the 2021 census will come. But guys, there is a problem in the 2021 census. The problem is that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2021 census was delayed, and up till now there is no date as when the census will be conducted. Government had deferred the census for an indefinite date. This is actually has also become a criticism of the government, that census is such a big demographic exercise, and why government is avoiding census. It is not a right thing. But guys, it has been postponed indefinitely, and till that particular time nothing can be done. This is actually not a good thing, and this particular thing guys needs to be catered urgently, because every day when the food is not being given, people's article number 21 right to food is getting compromised. That is the entire issue in this particular direction. So guys, once the census will be conducted, this particular list will be updated. But it's not correct. Government needs to take some extraordinary step also. Then moving on, the next issue that comes here is that guys, basically here a separate issue, that is the issue of the national database of unorganized workers is being discussed. National database of unorganized workers is being discussed. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that here also there is a little bit of a background that we can understand first. So basically in 2020 we have seen one major development. What happened in 2020? There was the reverse migration that happened in 2020. As a part of this reverse migration, what happened? People from the cities, they traveled back to their villages because of the lockdown that was announced. Now at that point of time, there were many concerns. A fundamental question was asked, that why people are going back, why this reverse migration is there. So it was identified that many of the people, they work in unorganized sector, they don't have any social safety, social security, so therefore they are going back for the sake of their social security, because in cities they will not be given any kind of a help. So therefore government decided that okay, in the future, so that the same kind of problem doesn't happen, we need to have a database of all the unorganized sector worker, all the migrant workers who are working in the city. And in this particular capacity, what was decided, a national database of unorganized workers portal will be prepared. Okay, and a national database of unorganized workers will be prepared, and one more database, that was the eShram portal, it was to be prepared. Now what will happen on this particular eShram portal? The migrant people, okay, will do their registration, okay. And in the case of, let's say, particular some problem comes in the future, there is some emergency that comes in the future, and or the government wants to reach to these unorganized people, government can that particular information from this national database of unorganized workers and the eShram portal. Now guys, what has happened, there are the 400 types of occupations. If the people are doing that particular occupation, they can register their name in this particular portal. So people in I'll just highlight it, people in construction, fine, people in the construction, agriculture, fishing, dairy, the ones who are self-employed, ASHA workers, even Anganwadi workers, they can register themselves on this eShram portal. Now why this particular issue came in the news? Because guys, the state governments have to register their migrant workers on this particular eShram portal, national database of unorganized workers, but the states, many of the states have not been able to register many people. For example guys, most of the states, their registration are less than the 50% mark. Particularly the Tamil Nadu's registration is lowest, around 34.84%. So a time-bound manner was given, a timeline was given to the state government that they need to register all their unorganized people, all the migrant people, but that particular thing has not happened. In this capacity also, the Supreme Court has asked the state government that they need to make sure that as soon as possible they are doing all these particular registrations on the eShram portal. Okay, so that is all guys about this particular article. Fine. So I hope that you have understood this particular thing. Now moving to the next article. Okay, the Competition Amendment Bill 2020. The Competition Amendment Bill 2020. Okay guys, just on a lighter note, I think that the things are making a lot sense to you. Okay, and guys, if you are liking the video, please do consider hitting the like button. Okay, so I don't think that it takes a lot of effort to do that particular thing. Okay, now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues related to the Indian economy, Now, before going in this particular article, guys, let's discuss some of the background. Now, the background goes like this, that see, when we talk about a free economy, in the free economy, fine, the market forces, they are allowed to operate in whatever way they want. The market forces are allowed to operate in whatever way they want. Okay, this is good for the market forces, but at the same time, if the market forces will have absolute power to operate in whatever capacity they want, sometimes they will do such kind of a practices which might not be good for the consumers. What they can do, they can kill the competition. What they can do, they can create a type of monopoly. In monopoly, what happens, there is one big dominant market player, it controls all the market. Okay, so these monopolies are not good. The competition, if it will be killed, it is not good. Now, first of all, you need to understand that why actually the competition is good and why killing the competition is not good. Listen this particular thing. When there is adequate competition in the economy, find the different corporates, different players, they will innovate. If there is a competition, they will innovate. Why? Because they want to stay ahead of their peers. And when this particular innovation will happen, there will be the better quality products that will be there. After that, the corporates, they will be making sure that there is good quality service, is there. Fine. After that, after sales service is there. Sales service is there. Moreover, if there will be the vibrant competition, good competition, the pricing will also be kept at minimal. Competitive pricing will be there. So for all these particular purposes, having a good competition is important. So as far as governments are concerned, the governments make sure that they are providing the conditions for free economy. They are not restricting too much the private players, the entities, but at the same time, it is also ensured that the competition should not be killed in an economy. There should not be any monopoly in the economy. And for that particular thing, every government has a particular type of laws which ensures the competition. They have even the bodies which make sure that no corporate is doing an activity by which it's killing the competition. So anti-competitive practices should not be there. Is it clear? Now, in this particular capacity, when we talk about in India, we have a specific law which promotes the competition, that is the Indian Competition Act 2002. Moreover, there is the Competition Commission of India, CCI. So Competition Commission of India registers the complaint if in case any corporate or if any company is trying to kill corporate, if it is trying to become a monopoly. Earlier we have the Monopolies Trade Restrictive Practices Act also. Now we have this Indian Competition Act and the Competition Commission of India. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that this particular Competition Act, it came way back in 2002. It got implemented 7 years back, but the act came in 2002. Now over the last 5, 6 or 7, 8 years, what has happened? The competition has changed a lot. Earlier there was only the physical competition that was there. Now the digital competitions are there. With the coming of the social media, with the coming of the new digital marketings, with the coming of a new age of transactions, the competitions, the dimensions have changed a lot. Now guys, in order to this particular thing, it was asked that okay, we need to change this particular competition act and we need to frame the anti-competitive laws. Okay, so therefore what happened? There was a review committee that was established in 2019. This review committee was asked that you please give us suggestion that how we can bring a change into the competition laws, and a bill to amend the Competition Act 2002 was given by this particular review committee that was set up in 2019, and now on the basis of that particular bill, a bill has been introduced into the Lok Sabha. What is the bill? The Competition Amendment Bill 2002. The Competition Amendment Amendment Bill 2002. What this Competition Amendment Bill 2002 will aim, it will aim that there should be no anti-competitive agreements, there should not be abuse of dominance, okay, by any one particular corporate. What are the anti-competitive agreement? Basically guys, let's see this particular thing. Suppose there are, now let's say there are two e-commerce players today in India. The bigger one, they are the Flipkart, for example, and then the second one is Amazon. Now let's say the Flipkart and Amazon, they come in an agreement and they say that okay, we will keep the same prices, for all the goods. Let's say mobile phone will keep the same price for particular mobile phone, for a particular brand of shoes, for a particular type of a product, which are the high selling products. They say that okay, if we are reducing the prices, in a way the competition is not benefiting us, so let's keep the same price. They got in that agreement. Now by this particular agreement, what happened? This is an anti-competitive agreement. They have killed the competition. Such kind of thing is not good for the consumer. So these competition agreements should not be there. Some corporate should not abuse their domination in the market. This is something that is there. Now guys, this particular bill has been brought. Now in this particular bill, there are some of the important provisions that we are going to discuss. Now actually two things I want to tell you before I proceed. Two things I want to tell you. Number one, you are not required, no need to go too much deep in this particular article. Why there is no need to go too much deep in this particular article? Because this particular article is still a bill. This particular article is still a bill. This thing, the bill might change as there will be the debate and the discussion that will be going into the parliament. So the provisions are not final. Second thing is this particular thing, that going too much deep will not help, because guys, this article is inclined towards the corporate practices, and in that capacity for the UPSC examination, such kind of things are not very much important. You need to have a generalistic idea. So no need to do PhD on this particular thing. Fine, chalo. So keep it in your mind. Now guys, moving on in the article. So what are the changes that had come? So basically, one of a section number 5, there the amendments have been provided. Now it deals with the mergers, acquisitions and amalgamations. Merger, acquisition and amalgamation. Now what is the meaning of this merger, acquisition, amalgamation? All look similar. No, they are not similar. I'll just be telling you the difference. Okay, so basically guys, what is, first of all, acquisition? When one company takes over another and establish itself as the owner, it is called as acquisition. It is called as acquisition. Let's say there is company X and there is company Y. Now the company X has taken over the company Y. Let's say the 51% share of the company Y has been taken by the company X. So company X has taken over the company Y, and now the company X is the owner of even this company Y. Fine. So this is an acquisition. So taking over the another company by some by the former company, it is called as acquisition. Again, you will see, when one company takes over another and establish itself. So here X has established itself as the new owner. It is called as acquisition. Okay. Now the second one, it is the merger. The second one is the merger. Now what happens? Basically, in the merger, two of the firms of the same size, they will join together and they will form a single entity. For example, the Idea and Vodafone. Now the Idea and Vodafone were of a similar size in India. What happened? They got merged together, and today we have Idea Vodafone. Okay. Or basically, guys, I'm just giving this example to make the things easy. Okay. So two companies will come together, and these two companies will become one company. Fine. For example, and both will be using their names. So this is something fine. That is the merger. Then there is the amalgamation. Now what is amalgamation? In amalgamation, the two companies will come together, and they will come together to form a third new entity. Entirely a new entity will be formed. Now understand this particular thing, that the amalgamation is different from the merger, because in merger, two countries were coming together, but they both were retaining their existence. New company was not being formed. But in amalgamation, what will happen? Two existing companies will come and they will form a third new entity. That is the amalgamation. So amalgamation, merger and acquisition. I hope that both these three things are clear. Now basically these amalgamations, merger and acquisitions, they are also called by a common name, combinations. So these three are also called as combinations. So basically it has been provided that whenever there is any combination that is happening, means merger, acquisition or amalgamation, when there was a combination was happening, at that point of a time the notification was to be given to the Competition Commission of India that okay, we are going to go for a merger, we are going to go for an acquisition. Now earlier, basically the information that is to be given to the Competition Commission, okay, it was on the basis of assets or the turnover of the company. What are the total assets? Land that they have, plant that they have, machinery that they have, assets, or on the basis of total turnover, total revenue that they were receiving. So on that particular basis the information is to be given. Now this new bill, it has proposed that they have to also tell the deal value. Okay, now obviously guys, when they are coming together, suppose when one company is purchasing the asset of another company, there will be some deal value. Okay, so what is the value of this entire deal? It is also be provided to the Competition Commission. It has been provided that if a deal value exceeds 2000 crore rupees, then that Competition Commission is to be given information. Now guys, why this particular thing is being suggested? So that the Competition Commission can keep even more better review on such kind of deals. Okay, so this is something. Then the next thing that is being provided is that basically guys, now I told you that whenever these combinations are happening, you need to tell the Competition Commission. Competition Commission will approve that particular process, and only after the approval this particular finalization deal will be finalized. Now earlier the commission was taking 210 days to approve this combination. Okay, but now this number of days which it can take, maximum number of days, it has been reduced. Now it can take, rather than 210 days, 150 days plus 30 days extension. So in total maximum 180 days can be taken, not 210. This particular thing will make mergers and combinations quick. It will make them fast, which will improve the ease of doing business in India. Then next it has been provided that guys, basically now understand this particular thing that now guys, there is one particular concept. Okay, the concept of gun jumping. Okay, the concept of gun jumping. Okay, now basically guys, here again this point has been repeated here. Okay, so there is one concept of gun jumping. I'll explain this particular concept of gun jumping, and I will put this gun jumping provision as a text into the Telegram. Okay, so by mistake I think the same point I repeated here, so I'll explain the gun jumping here, and then the same point I will put into the Telegram. You can see from the Telegram that what is this gun jumping. Now basically I told you that the Competition Commission, it takes certain number of days in order to approve that particular process. Now it was earlier taking 210 days. Now guys, what has happened, sometimes the companies, they go and they do their merger acquisition or they do their combination without waiting for the Competition Commission's approval. Now why they are doing that particular thing? Because guys, understand that once a deal has happened, every day the stock prices of that particular company are changing. And if the stock prices of a company are changing, see, when a company's stock prices go up, that company's valuation go up. Whenever a company's stock prices go down, their valuation go down. So as the stock prices are changing, basically this particular valuation that has been sealed, basically on that some impact is coming. So and if these 210 days is a very big time, so what happens sometimes, without even taking the approval, the companies, they go and they finalize their particular deal. Now guys, it has been now this particular act is called as gun jumping. This particular act has been called as gun jumping. Now guys, in this particular gun jumping, there is a penalty that is to be charged. Okay, now earlier the penalty was 1%. Earlier the penalty was 1% of the asset or the turnover of that particular company. Now it is going to be 1% of the total deal value. Now it is going to be the total deal value. So if there is a gun jumping, simply again I'll explain, if they have not waited for the approval that was to be given, and without the approval if they had carried and they have done their particular deal, this is called as the gun jumping. And in that gun jumping, there is a penalty. Earlier what was the penalty? Earlier the penalty was 1% of the total asset value. Now the penalty is 1% of the deal value. Is it clear? So this is something that has been there. Okay, I'll put this particular thing in that Telegram. Okay, Now guys, moving on. After that, there is one more issue that has come. There is the provision of leniency plus that has been added. The provision of leniency plus that has been added. Now what is the provision of the leniency plus? So basically guys, there is one particular act of cartelization. I'll explain that first of all. What is this cartelization? Now what happens in the cartelization? Okay, so in the cartelization, there are some of the corporates that come together and they form a kind of a cartel. By the cartel is a kind of a grouping that they form and they try to control the pricing. For example guys, oil cartel is there. Now when you take the example of OPEC, Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries. Now it is a cartel. What they do, these in the OPEC, there are the countries which produce the maximum of oil, and as they control that particular oil, they also control the pricing. Fine, they make sure that the prices should not go below a particular level. So cartel is a grouping which try to control the pricing in a particular field. Now what has happened? Leniency plus. Now basically here the waiver on certain of the penalties can be given to a particular company if they discloses the existence of a cartel in an unrelated market. Okay, so suppose there is a person, okay, or there is a corporate. On that particular corporate, there was some kind of a penalties that were imposed in, let's say, XYZ case. Now there is a leniency plus. Leniency plus means that if the corporate on which some penalties have been imposed, they tell about some cartel, and if that is a genuine information means that such information is provided which can enable the commission to form an opinion that yes, actually the cartel is existing, then that particular corporate's penalties will be reduced. It will be minimized. So this is the leniency plus provision that has also been added. So guys, these are all the major provisions that have been there in this particular direction. Now whatever we have discussed here, it is much more than what you will be needing. So anyhow, we have done a lot of coverage, a lot of ground we have covered. No need to go beyond this particular article. So that is all about this, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Wind project addition to peak by 2024. So guys, this particular article talks about a recent report that has been released. So this article is talking about a recent report that has been released by the Global Wind Energy Council, GWEC, and MEC Plus. So Global Wind Energy Council, it is an organization which provides the data, which provides the patterns about the wind energy, fine, as well as MEC Plus, it is also a consulting firm for the renewable energy. So these are two organizations, that is GWEC and MEC Plus, has released its report about the wind energy and its patterns in India. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the renewable energy, when we talk about the wind energy is an important component of the renewable energy. And when the renewable energies are concerned, India has specifically taken that we are going to promote the renewable energies. First of all, in 2015 we have taken the INDCs. INDC stands for Intended Nationally Determined Contribution. Now these INDC targets were taken in Paris, and under the INDC targets, the company under the INDC targets, what has happened? It has been provided by the countries that they are going to take certain targets in this particular direction. They are going to take certain targets in this particular direction. Okay. Now guys, when we talk about the INDC targets, fine, we have taken certain INDC targets in 2015. I'll tell you what are these targets. So basically, first was that we will first target that India has taken was that we will reduce the emission intensity by 33% by 2030. So by 33% the emissions will be reduced by 2030. This was the first target that was taken by India. Then second target that we take is that 40% of our electricity will be generated from the non-fossil fuels by 2030. Fine, 40% of our electricity will come by the non-fossil fuels by the 2030. That was the second target. And the third target that we have taken, that we will create a carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion ton. Okay, so 2.5 to 3 billion ton of the carbon dioxide will develop a carbon sink. So these were the three targets. These were the three targets that we have taken way back in 2015 in the Paris, and these targets were the part of the India's INDC program. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that actually India has recently taken some enhanced target also in the COP26 Panch Amrit. Now these Panch Amrit, 5 targets we have taken in COP26 in the last year in the Glasgow in 2021. We said that okay, we'll try to do little bit more. We will reach the non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030. Our 50% of energy will come from the renewable sources by 2030. 1 billion basically 1 billion ton carbon emission will be reduced by 2030. Carbon intensity will be reduced by 45%. So earlier it's for 33%, now 45%. And fifth, net zero by 2070. Net zero means we will achieve the carbon neutrality. It means that whatever carbon we are emitting, the similar carbon will absorb. All these particular targets were taken. Now guys, one more update I want to tell you. Please guys, keep it in your mind. It is the most important, very important thing in environment this year. Now guys, see, these were our INDCs that we have discussed. These are the Panchamrit that we took in the COP26. Now the Panchamrit were just the, we said that okay, we'll try to do something. We did not promise, we did not give a commitment. We just simply said that okay, we'll try to do this thing. This was agreed. Now guys, what had happened? Basically recently we have seen this particular article. That just a few days back, what has happened, the cabinet has given an approval that okay, we are going to revise our two of the INDCs that we have taken in 2015. So now we have revised the two of the INDCs that we have taken in 2015. Number one, by 2030 we will reduce our carbon emission by 45% and 50% of energy will come from the renewable energies. 50% of the energy will come from the renewable energies. So this is the target that we have taken. Okay, just a minute. So this is a target that we have taken in the Paris Agreement. This is a target that we have recently now revised. Keep all this particular background in your mind. And now if we come back to this particular article, renewable energy happens to be an important part, and within the renewable energy, wind energy happens to be an important part. So government is doing a lot of effort, making a lot of effort so that we build more and more renewable energy and the wind energy. So guys, it is a very important part of India's transition policy, transition from carbon to the transition of renewable energy. By 2030 these targets we have to achieve. But guys, for the wind we have taken the total target of 60 gigawatt. 60 gigawatt will be established by 2022. Okay, 60 gigawatt will be established by 2022, but up till now only 40 gigawatt by the wind power capacity has been achieved. So 60 gigawatt was to be achieved by 2022. We are already in 2022, but only 40 gigawatt has been achieved. So we are running behind our wind energy targets. Now guys, it has been provided that okay, basically the installation of the new wind power projects in India will peak by 2024. By 2024 the progress will be good, and after 2024 there will be a decline into the installation of the wind power in the India. This is the data provided by the Global Wind Energy Council and MEC Plus. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that why there is a slowdown. First of all, there are two things. Number one, right now there is a slowdown. And the second thing is that there will be a slowdown that will come after 2024 also. The slowdown will come after 2024 also. What are the reasons in this particular thing? So guys, reason number one, basically there have been the large orders, large bidders, and high competitive bids have happened. Now listen this particular thing. Basically what happens when the wind energy is to be deployed, government asks the bidding from the private players. For example, government will ask the Mr. A, Mr. B, these are the private players. They'll say that okay, the government will say that okay, you install a wind power plant, we will buy electricity from you. And for that particular thing, a bidding is done that okay, at how much price you will be giving us electricity. We'll buy electricity. Government says this particular thing. Now in the past what has happened, there was highly competitive bidding that happened, and very low prices of the wind power have been quoted by the power developers. Very low prices have been quoted, and these prices are so low that they are actually in the losses. And now they have realized this particular thing, that we have quoted so much of the low prices. Because of this particular thing, now new players are not coming into the wind power sector. The new players are not coming. Then there is one more problem that comes here, is that for installing these wind power plants you need the land. Okay, and the land is needed as a specific location only where there is a sufficient flow of wind. Now that particular land parcels are located, most of the land parcels which are favorable to the wind power plants, they are located in Gujarat, Tamil Nadu. But there guys, the land parcels are now becoming limited. So there are no favorable land packets. So this is a very big kind of a problem. Non-availability of land, costlier land that is there. Okay, that is becoming a big problem. Okay, This is one particular issue, and guys, because the land is a very big problem, therefore most of the time you find that even into the oceans these particular wind power plants are installed. Now guys, actually basically because of the land availability problem, there is a very big issue that is coming, okay, and these particular power plants are becoming unsustainable, unviable. So therefore right now there is a slowdown. By 2024 there will be a peak, and then again there will be a slowdown. So this is guys a very very important bottleneck with respect to the infrastructure. Now this particular article can be seen with respect to the GS paper number 3 infrastructure. GS paper number 3 infrastructure. Okay, so guys, I hope you understood this particular entire issue. Now we'll move to the next article. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Now this particular article, guys, taken from the editorial section, and this particular article is talking about a recent development where government has provided that there needs to be the linking between the voter ID card and the Aadhaar, the linking of the voter ID card and the Aadhaar card. Okay, so basically guys, this particular issue will be discussing. Now when we talk about the Indian democracy has been a successful democracy. Okay, by the way, this article will be important for GS2, GS paper number 2. Fine. Electoral reforms. Now listen, when we talk about the Indian democracy has been a successful democracy. Why we call Indian democracy a successful democracy? Because guys, we have been able to conduct the regular elections. Since 1951 onwards, we have been able to conduct elections, and even the voter turnout in India has been very much high. Moreover, most of the independent agencies have said that India's elections are free, fair and transparent elections. So India's electoral success is the success of India's democracy. Fine, that is the something is there. Now guys, why the election is a success? In that particular capacity, the Election Commission of India has played a very important role. Election Commission of India has made voting a very simple exercise, okay, just by having your name into the electoral. Now guys, understand this particular thing. If you are only having the voter ID card, doesn't mean that you can vote. Along with the voter ID card, you need to have a name in the electoral roll, which is prepared by the Election Commission of India. So whichever constituency you are enrolled as a voter, so there needs to be a name into the electoral roll. Now guys, when we talk about the voter ID card, now the voter ID card has been provided to most of the voters who have achieved the age of 18. Once you reach the age of 18, you are allowed to vote. Earlier the age of voting was 21 years, but this 21-year age has been reduced to 18 years by the 61 Constitutional Amendment Act. So now the voting age is 18, and with a very seamless, with a very easy process, you can get the voter ID if you are 18 years. And then the electoral rolls, they are updated very regularly by the Election Commission of India. Now guys, when we talk about the updation of the electoral rolls, Election Commission of India does their updation because number one, there are the migrant population that is increasing into the urban sprawls. Much of the migrant population are coming into the urban areas such as the Delhi. So guys, many of them, they want to now register themselves as the voter into the Delhi. For that particular thing, new voters are to be registered. Then the demographic changes. People are now becoming more eligible for the voters. Now more people are turning 18 plus, so they are to be given voter ID cards. The death of the older people, their names are to be removed from the electoral rolls. So basically, Election Commission of India is regularly and with a very seamless, with a very easy process, is issuing voter ID card. It is making the electoral rolls. It is updating them. All these particular thing is going on. Moreover, guys, understand this particular thing that today, when we talk about the school educated population that is increasing in the country, today most of the Indian citizens, they have the same house address into the multiple ID cards. Okay, people, they have the voter ID card, or they have the ration card, they have other birth certificates, they have the passports. Multiple IDs are there, and into the multiple IDs the same address is being used. So basically what has happened, registering a voter and identifying it to which constituency they belong. You belong to Meerut constituency, you belong to Bareilly constituency, you belong to the constituency of Jaipur. It is very easily, it can be ascertained. This is something that is happening. Now guys, in this particular background, the government is insisting that there needs to be the linking of the voter ID card, voter rolls, voter ID card and Aadhaar number. Okay, voter ID card and Aadhaar number are to be linked together. This is something that the government is now insisting. Now guys, in this particular capacity, the government has already passed the Election Laws Amendment Bill. Election Laws Amendment Bill has been passed, by which the voter identity card and Aadhaar will be linked. Now guys, the EC authorities have said that this is a voluntary process, but actually what has happened, just 2 days back, we have seen one particular article that the voters are being asked that if they will not link the Aadhaar card with their voter ID card, their name will be deleted. Now it is not being said as voluntary, rather it is being promoted as mandatory. This is something that is happening. Now the article says that this is not required. This is not required. What the article says this particular thing, that when you talk about the Aadhaar card, why you are insisting too much onto the Aadhaar card? Aadhaar card is not a proof of citizenship. Fine, Aadhaar card is not a proof of citizenship. Aadhaar card is not a proof of citizenship. It has been said that the Aadhaar card is just meant to be issued to the residents. Okay, all the residents, now the residents, they are entitled to get Aadhaar card. It is not a proof of citizenship. But when we talk about the voting, in the voting, number one, only the citizens can participate, and not all the citizens, only adult citizens can participate. So voter ID means that you are the citizen of India and you are the adult citizen of India. You can vote. So voter ID, it has more credentials. Why? Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship. Now guys, it has been provided. Therefore, matching Aadhaar number with the electoral roll or matching the Aadhaar number with the voter ID card, it doesn't make any sense, because both documents have their altogether the different purposes. Second thing guys, it has been provided that as reported by the Internet Freedom Foundation, the data, basically, see, there are the errors in both Aadhaar database, there are the errors, even into the voter ID card there are the errors. In both there are the errors, but actually high number of errors are there in the Aadhaar. Self-reported errors, the error that I'll report, self-reported errors, they are high into the Aadhaar database than the electoral database. Is it clear? So therefore guys, insisting on connecting both, it is not making any kind of a sense. Then guys, the second thing, it has been provided that the Aadhaar number is now being used to access many of the services. Okay, now on the basis of Aadhaar card, you are accessing many of the service. Now if we will link the Aadhaar and the voter ID card, what can happen? The government can profile their people. Government can know that okay, this voter, it is getting which type of service. Suppose the voter A, he is getting which type of service, voter B, he is getting which type of a service by using their Aadhaar, and by that particular thing the voters can be influenced. So this is something that is being provided. Moreover guys, in India there is no data protection law. In India we don't have any data protection law. Clear? And because of that particular thing also, there could be misuse that can happen. So therefore guys, in this particular capacity, all these particular issues, all these particular challenges are coming. That's all about this with this particular article guys. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. Making out a case for the other UBI in India. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2 social justice. GS paper number 2 social justice. Now guys, understand, basically we are discussing here the idea of the universal basic insurance. Now there are the two UBIs. One is the universal basic income also, that's there. So today we'll be discussing about the universal basic insurance. Now guys, understand what is this universal basic income. So few years back, the idea of the universal basic income was proposed even in the Indian Economic Survey. The idea is very much simple. It is being said that it to the particular basically the idea was said this particular thing, that everyone needs to be given some kind of income surety. Every person needs to be given some kind of an income surety, that okay, this much income they will be getting. Are you getting it or not? There needs to be a kind of a cash transfer that is to be made to everyone. Now in place of that, you remove other welfare schemes, but you just give some income transfer to the people. This was the idea of the universal basic income. Guys, focus on the word universal. Universal means that it will be given to everyone. So that idea came, but that idea was not implemented because guys, financially it was not possible that we can give the universal basic income to everyone. Now basically the idea, the article says that actually when we talk about the social security, there could be 3 types of social securities that could be possible. Now this idea will discuss, article will discuss about universal basic insurance. We'll just come on that in few minutes. Now in general, there are the 3 type of social securities that could be there. Now this is very important point, very important point, okay, for your GS even static. Number 1 is the passive safety. Fine. Second one is the active safety, and the third one is the proactive safety. Now what's the difference between passive, active and proactive safety? Now guys, let's say that this is the line of minimum survival. This is the line of the minimum survival. It means that if a person falls below this particular line of the minimum survival, even he cannot sustain, his existence will be threatened. Fine. Now, what is the passive safety? Now, passive safety, it catches the people from falling from the line of basic living wages and prevents them falling below the line of this critical survival. Suppose, just a minute. Suppose a person was at this particular level and the person's income has declined, and as this particular person's income has declined, this particular person might fall below this particular line of minimum survival. Okay, the particular person might go below this. Now, the passive safety will come here and will make sure that this particular person doesn't goes beyond this. Okay, the person stays here, the person stays here, but doesn't goes below this. Here the passive safety comes. For example, we have the National Food Security Act. Now, we cannot ensure that you will be given an internet connection, we cannot ensure that you will be given an air conditioner, but the food can be given so that minimum you can stay alive. So here the passive safety will come in existence. Then there is active safety. What is active safety? Active safety, it acts like a trampoline. Now, what is a trampoline? You might have seen that there is a trampoline, you jump on that and again you bounce back. That is a trampoline. So what is the active safety? Just a minute. Active safety. Now, into the active safety, let's say the person was here. Now, active safety is something that if a person's income declined, government will provide him such support that he again reaches back to his level where he was earlier. Government will provide you income, government will provide you some other kind of a security so that you reach again to the position at which you were originally. And then the next comes, it is the proactive safety. What is proactive safety? Now, proactive safety, it is working as a launch pad. It is working as a launch pad. What does it mean that it will work at launch pad? That suppose your income declined, it will push you in such a way that your status improves and even you go at a higher level. You go at a higher level. So, passive safety, just you will stay here. You will not go below this. Active safety, you will be again made to reach at your original position. Proactive safety, you will not be just rebounded to your original position, rather you will progress even beyond that. That is the proactive safety. So these are the three types of safety measures that we have. Now guys, basically the first type of safety, that is the passive safety. The passive safety, it is meant for the most income deprived section of society who can't even afford the food, who can't even afford the basic entitlements. It is meant for them. The second type of safety is the ones which are relative, this particular safety, it is ones which are relatively well off and are to be provided more support. Now guys, when we talk about the first type of safety, that is the passive safety, this can be provided with the social assistance programs. For example, you can provide them some food transfer, you can provide them some 500 rupees, 300 rupees pension. It doesn't need a lot of resource. But when we talk about the second type of safety, that is the active safety, for this particular thing you need more money to support the people. Okay, then the third type of safety, that is the proactive safety. This social security, it requires a lot of money. Why? Because you need to make sure that he is not reaching to his original position, rather he is becoming more productive, he is getting more skills as how he can earn even more income. So for that particular thing you need to have more resources, you need to provide them working capital. For example, you need to provide them loan for some kind of a business, you need more money for that. So this is something that is there. Now guys, when we talk about India, in India the social security that has been there, we had tried to focus more on the passive and the active safety only. For proactive safety we have not done too much. Why? Because the financial constraints were always a very big limitation in the India. Now understand that India's social security, we have a very big social security umbrella, very big social security net. We are providing the food security, health security. Okay, fine. A kind of an income security is also being provided in India. We'll see the examples in all this particular thing. For example guys, for the food security, we already have the National Food Security Act. Now under the National Food Security Act, more than 800 million people are being provided the subsidized food grains. We have the midday meal scheme. In the midday meal scheme, 120 million children in the schools, they are being provided the cooked meals. So the food security is being provided. Then the health security is being provided. Now for the health security, we have Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, Ayushman Bharat scheme, under which up to 5 lakh rupees of health insurance is provided and 490 million beneficiaries are taking the advantage of that. Then we have the Employee State Insurance Corporation Central Government Health Scheme, okay, which is catering to 130 million people and 4 million people. Now these numbers are not important, but what I want to say that a large number of people are already being catered. Then guys, the income security, it is a very tricky kind of security. Income security needs a lot of resources also. Now in this particular capacity guys, government is running many of the income security schemes where the pension schemes etc comes. Once you will become retired, you will be given some pension. So for the organized sector, there is the general provident fund. Now this general provident fund is for the central and state government employees, and 20 million of the central and the state government employees are getting benefit under the general provident fund. Then guys, there is EPF, employees provident fund. Now employee provident fund is availed by 65 million people working in the organized sector, not specifically the central and the state government employees, rather the people working in organized sector at other places also, they are entitled under this EPF, employees provident fund. Even the people working in private sector, they can opt for the EPF and will get the income after they'll get after a particular age. Okay, provident fund, after let's say they after their job is over, they will be getting the money. This is a provident fund. Then there is the public provident fund. Now what is the public provident fund? Public provident fund is this. Public provident fund is anybody can enroll in that public provident fund PPF account. I can open a PPF account for a 15 years. I can open a PPF account. I'll put some money monthly or the yearly, and after 15 years I will be getting some kind of an assured lump sum amount that is there. Now after that, unorganized sector, for them we have the MG Narega scheme where 60 million beneficiaries are being provided the benefit. Okay, now guys, basically still there are the 100 million people who have no income security. They don't have any pension, they don't have any gratuity, they don't get any provident fund, nothing help is provided to still 100 million people who are left out. So you have GPF, you have EPF, you have PPF, all these things you have, but still there are 100 million people who are not getting any benefit. Okay sir, what is GPF and EPF? See, GPF, it is general provident fund. It is available only for the state government and the central government employees. Okay, and when we talk about EPF is available for the employees who are not working for government, even for a private player. Okay, then guys, so basically 100 million people, they don't have any security. So for them, the universal basic income was suggested. Now the universal basic income was very expensive. It would have taken 4.5% of GDP equivalent resources. This much money, the money equivalent of 4.5% of India's GDP was required. So therefore, it became impossible to implement. Now guys, this article is saying that rather than that, we need to implement the universal basic insurance. We need to implement the universal basic insurance. Now what is this universal basic insurance? It is provided that everybody, whether they can pay or not, they need to be provided an insurance. And by this particular insurance, in the times when they are, let's say there is an accident that has happened, let's say a death has happened, by this insurance they can avail the benefit. Now when we talk about the insurance penetration in India, it has been very much less. Okay, it has been hovering around 4%. Just 4% people have took the insurance. It is 17% into the, basically it is 17% in Taiwan, 9% in Japan and 6% in China. But in India, it's just 4%. Second thing, it has been provided that our economy largely remains informal. But now even the data for the informal sector we are having because of the GSTIN, because of the eShram. So guys, today we have seen that the eShram portal has been established where unorganized sector worker will enroll them. So by this eShram portal, we still got some of the data, so we can provide the coverage even to the unorganized sector. Now guys, in this particular line, the Karnataka has already built a particular platform, that is the Kutumb. Now in the Kutumb, it is a social registry portal which has been developed by the Karnataka government to provide the social benefits to their own people. So to the lines of Kutumb, for entire India, we can develop such kind of a platform by which insurance is to be provided, universal basic insurance. So that is all guys about this particular article and the ideas that have been contained. Now we'll move to the next article, heading the G20 and the New Delhi choices. Now guys, this particular article will be important for GS paper number 2 IR, GS paper number 2 international relation. Now basically, Now, guys, the G20 group of 20 meet. India is going to take the presidency of the G20. Now, India will take the presidency from the December 2022 to November 2023. So, entire 1 year, India will be holding the presidency of the G20. Now, when we talk about the G20, G20 happens to be an important grouping which contains the 19 individual countries and the European Union. Okay, so all the countries which are the part of the G20, you can see their map here, their flags here. Now, when we talk about the G20, basically, guys, G20 has a very big importance. Why G20 has a big importance? Because 90% of the world's GDP, it comes from the G20 countries. 80% of the global trade, 80% of the global trade is by the G20 countries. These 20 countries that I just show you the flags. Then 67% of the population, 67% of the population, it is living in these G20 countries. So the G20 happens to be a very big organization. Guys, into the past, India has hosted the NAM Summit. India has hosted the Indian African Forum Summit in 2015, NAM Summit in 1983. But guys, actually India has never hosted such a big summit as the size of the G20. This is the first time that such a big thing we are going to do. Now, guys, when we talk about the G20, number one, its mandate is very big. It discusses onto the economic well-being. It talks about the global issues, all these things. And second thing is that basically, guys, when we talk about the G20, in the G20, there is a representation of the United Nations, there is a representation of the World Bank, International Monetary Fund IMF, World Trade Organization, WHO. All these bodies have also the representation into the G20. So therefore the G20 happens to be a very high profile kind of a meeting. Now, guys, the G20, it has played a very important role in addressing the 2008-9 crisis, the Eurozone crisis of 2010 that came into the European Union. Then, guys, in the right now, even in the 2020, along with this pandemic, as the economic challenges have come, G20 is trying to play a very important role. But at the same time, guys, there are certain issues on which the G20 has not been able to take important decisions. For example, COVID-19 pandemic, its impacts, G20 has not been able to do too much in that particular direction. Then, guys, the war in the Ukraine that is going on, India-China border dispute is there, US, European Union and Russia, they are not having very good relations. Then the US-China relations are getting impacted. So basically, guys, all these countries, fine, all these majority of the countries, fine, they are the part in G20, but these countries are having some disputes. So now basically in the Bali, there is the meet summit that is there. How these players, how these global leaders will be behaving there? Will they be coming together and will be taking some kind of a common targets or not? This is something that is there. Now, guys, in this particular capacity, New Delhi, that India is going to be the president of the G20. So there are some important things that the India needs to do once we'll go in this G20. Number one, when we talk about the G20 presidency, it offers a unique opportunity to India. India can brand itself. India can put forward its success in the front of the world. India can provide that how India had combated the COVID-19, India's digital revolution, our UPI revolution, our digital economy that we are promoting, how we are switching towards the renewables, how we are fulfilling so much of the energy targets by the renewables, okay, how we have countered the climate change, our Atmanirbharta, self-reliance into the manufacturing sector. All these particular things can be put onto the global stage. Then the domestic success of India. Now, guys, even India's domestic success is of a continental scale. India is such a big country in terms of land, in terms of people. So India's successes are not small, it are the big success. Then the next thing is that India can utilize India's suboptimal physical infrastructure to create attractive investment. Fine, India can also attract the investment, okay. Then, guys, next thing is that basically there are the 4 democracies, fine, which are going to become the next powerful economic. Now see, 4 big democracies: Indonesia, India, Brazil, South Africa. Now, guys, all these 4 countries, they are going to hold the presidency from 2021 to 2025. 2021 to 2025, these 4 countries are going to hold the presidency, okay. And these 4 democracies are actually the emerging democracies. You getting it or not? Now, guys, when we talk about, basically it is being said that it is a time that the global south is claiming its leadership. It is a time that the global south is claiming its leadership. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the organization, there is one organization, IPSA. Now, in the IPSA, there are 3 countries: India, Brazil and South Africa. Now, coincidentally, the India, Brazil and South Africa are going to hold the presidency consecutively. In 2023, India will be the president, Okay, then in 2024 Brazil will be the president, and in 2025 South Africa will be president. So IPSA, these three countries are going to be president consecutively in the next 3 years. Now guys, moving on in this particular direction, so therefore India today has an opportunity that India can be the chief global diplomat. India can put forward the concerns that India is having, and India can highlight, can showcase its success in this particular thing. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about the G20 agenda, it can, here we need to synthesize the divergent views also. 5 permanent members of the United Nations, G7 members, BRICS, okay, then another countries, all these countries India can reach toward from the G20. So G20 is a broader platform. From the G20 platform, the permanent members of the UNSC, the G7 members, the BRICS nations, all could be addressed by the India. So India needs to seize this particular opportunity, and India should utilize this particular opportunity in this particular direction. Now guys, moving to the next article. Why can't government call all party meet on freebies? So basically guys, every day we are seeing 1 or 2 article on the freebie. Every day, I think up till now 12-13 editorials we have even seen on freebies. And guys, if you have followed our newspaper analysis, I don't think that any question, if it comes on the freebie, you'll not be able to answer. Now guys, as this particular freebie issue is going on, what has happened? Supreme Court has provided this particular thing, that the freebie issue is party centric. Now guys, what is a freebie? In case you don't know, freebie are the free entitlements that are being promised by the political party to their voters. For example, political party coming and they're promising that, okay, if you vote for us, we'll give you, let's say, a mixer grinder, we'll give you an AC, will give you, let's say, an iPad. These are the freebies that are often promised by the political parties. Now guys, these freebies are to be curbed because they are imposing a lot of debt burden onto the states. Now the Supreme Court is hearing this particular issue from the past, and the Supreme Court has already said that will constitute an expert committee. This expert committee will have the members of the Niti Aayog, it will have the members of RBI, it will have the Finance Commission members, and then there will be the other expert members which will debate this particular matter of the freebie. Is it clear or not? Now guys, the court has provided that the freebies are the party centric. Now the political parties are the ones who are making these promises. You cannot say that the people are voting for such parties, the parties decide. It has been provided that today the parties, they contest election. Individuals don't have any importance in the present system. CGI even said that, okay, today if I go to fight the election, I'll not be getting more than 10-15 votes. So individual doesn't make any impact, parties make an impact, and the parties are the ones who have to take a decision onto the freebie, whether they want to go or not. So political parties, their philosophy, their manifestos are important. Are you getting it or not? Manifestos are important. So therefore the political parties take the important decision in this. So party centric. So therefore if freebies are to be curtailed, parties have to take decision in this particular direction. So guys, already the expert committees have been constituted. This expert committee will give its suggestion. Supreme Court has provided that we will not come out with any law, will not say that any political parties will not de-recognize any political party. The parties need to do that particular thing. Now guys, basically one suggestion is a good suggestion which you can write in your answer, how to curb this freebie. So actually there is a Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, FRBM Act. Now FRBM Act has put the restriction onto the state governments as well as the center that they need to restrict their fiscal deficit. When they are spending more than their income, they need to restrict that fiscal deficit. So guys, if certain states their fiscal deficit is more, then under the FRBM Act they can be restricted, and guys, a condition can be imposed onto the state that if your debt are too much high, you cannot promise the freebies, you cannot promise certain things. So by this thing, these freebies could be curtailed. Okay, however guys, I think from the last 1 month, every day there is one article that on the freebie we are discussing. So guys, if you are following regularly, okay, I don't think that even I don't think that you will be facing any kind of a problem. Any question come, I don't think you'll be going to face any problem. So okay, so this is one very crisp kind of a thing that has come in this particular article. Beyond this there is nothing mentioned in this particular article. So the only this particular thing has been discussed. Now we'll move to the next article. The tomato flu outbreak and the center's advisory. Now guys, understand this particular thing. This tomato flu outbreak has been recently reported in India in the states such as basically it has been reported recently into the India in the many of the states. Now basically understand, you don't need to go and do the PhD on this particular tomato flu. Clear? So center has given an advisory that okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. Now these advisories are not to be seen. Why? Because these advisories will change as the time will be coming. Fine. So no need to go and read the advisory, no need to go to see that which medicines are to be taken, because by the time your exam will come, this tomato flu, it would have a lot of things would have changed on this particular front. Now what are the examination related information that you need to see? Now guys, when we talk about the tomato fever or the tomato flu, it is a flu that is reported into the younger children around the age of 5 and less. Fine. And basically the symptoms of the tomato flu are very much similar to the chikungunya. Okay, so high fever, rashes, intense pain, okay, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, swelling of joints, all these are the fever these are the symptoms of the tomato flu. Now this tomato flu, it is caused by the Coxsackie virus A16, which belongs to the Eternovirus family. Okay, so it belongs to the Eternovirus family, Coxsackie virus. It causes this tomato flu. All these are the symptoms of chikungunya, and it is mostly reported into the children. It is mostly reported into the children. Why it is called as a tomato flu? Because guys, it produces red spots on the skin. It produces the red spots into the skin, and because of that it is called as tomato fever. It has nothing to do with the tomatoes. Don't stop eating the tomatoes that it will cause tomato fever. No, it just causes the red spots, and because of that it calls as the tomato fever. Now guys, you don't need to go and do the PhD that okay, which advisory, which health journal reported, how many cases are coming. Not at all important. So that is all about this particular article. So guys, with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Now guys, we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves, and guys, if you are liking the video, please don't hesitate. You can leave a lovely comment, you can leave a like. Okay, so by that we get to know that okay, whether you are actually appreciating or liking it or not. Okay, so guys, that is about the today's analysis. Let's meet tomorrow. Till then, take care of yourselves. Thank you.